I'm Veronica Stolnicka, and you're watching PHTV4 Spotlight. And today we have the spotlight on Westgate Music School, a music school based in Palos Heights. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us more about your school. So you are the owner of Westgate Music School. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came about to open your own music school?
Sure. I have always been a private music teacher for the past 23 years, something like that now. I had always taught out of other people's music schools or music stores. And I have 2 degrees in music. I have an undergrad in music performance, and then much later on, I got my degree in my master's degree in music education with the idea that I was going to be a teacher in the public school districts. But I decided that what I actually wanted to do was to open my own music school, not to teach for the school districts or in somebody else's music school. So in 2015, I opened Westgate Music School, and it was pretty much just me teaching myself there. Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't teaching myself, I was the only teacher there, that's what I meant to say. And eventually we just kept growing and growing and growing, and now we have 7 different teachers who teach different instruments, and we have roughly about 200 weekly students that we see.
Wow, 200.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you are a musician, so what instruments do you play, and do you recall your first experience with a musical instrument?
My main musical instrument is guitar, but being a music teacher and getting a master's in music ed, it required me to be able to show proficiency and teach on over 20 different musical instruments, wind and brass and strings and things like that. But my main instruments were always string-based: guitar, electric bass, or any sort of related string instruments like ukulele, banjo. And then I also handle all of the orchestral string lessons at Westgate, so cello, violin, viola, upright bass, things like that.
Oh, that's fascinating. And so what is your favorite music genre and why?
I've always been a rock and roll person,
mm-hmm.
but to be honest, it really depends on what period of life you talk to me. There was a period of my life when I studied strictly jazz, when I was a jazz studies major at Northern Illinois University getting my undergrad in performance. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time in different rock bands in my 20s trying to, live that rock star dream, get signed, go on tour, you know how it is.
So you actually did that?
Yes,
cool.
To a point. Never got famous or anything, but, I'd like to say we were close. Mm-hmm. And then in my 30s, when I started pursuing my master's in music education, I really fell in love with a lot of orchestral music, both classical and modern. Mm-hmm. So it really just sort of depends on the day you catch me on. I mean, as a music teacher who teaches multiple instruments, I have to have a really wide, diverse taste in music because students could bring me any piece of music they want to learn at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what has been the most unusual type of music a student has brought to you?
A lot of times when they bring rap music, I have to say, well, there's really not a lot of guitar in this, but you kind of have to roll with it and just make something up for them to play. So,
And so why did you decide to open a music school in Palos Heights? Of all places, why Palos Heights?
I did a lot of research. It was about 2 years of research and planning to open up Westgate Music School. I mean, I say I opened it in 2015, but it was about 2 years of planning and building my own student base out of my house. So it took about 2 years. I did a lot of researching in a lot of different areas. And number one, I am from not the Palos Heights area, but next door, Crestwood, I lived in at the time, and I currently live in Oak Forest. And the one thing that I had found when I was researching areas is that this is a great community that was definitely in need of a music school. There wasn't really anywhere here in this immediate area that offered well, any kind of music lessons really that I was aware of. So I started shopping for commercial retail spaces in this area, and I found our current place on 127th and Ridgeland, and we've been there ever since.
You've been there for how long now?
6 years, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, we just had our 6-year anniversary this month, actually, September 5th.
Congratulations.
So. Yeah, thank you.
So what makes Westgate Music School unique from other music schools, other than fitting a niche that didn't exist here in Palos Heights? What else makes it stand out?
So, number one, it's all about the teachers. People come to a music school because they really enjoy the teachers that work there. I mean, of course, having, a nice up-to-date facility and things like that all helps, but number one, it's all about having great teachers there who really have a passion for teaching. As far as what we do that's different, a lot of our curriculum for our various instruments, guitar, piano, is all digital based. When students sign up for lessons with us, they gain access to a cloud storage through our website that they can access any lessons that the teachers grant them permission to, which really helped us out during the pandemic, because if everybody was working out of physical books, it would be so much harder for the teachers to keep track of every student and what they were doing. So the fact the curriculum is digitally based, that's one unique thing. I believe that our rock band program offers the students a lot of unique opportunities beyond just getting in a rock band and playing with each other. They've done things like recording music videos on our YouTube channel. They've recorded covers of their favorite songs and uploaded them to Spotify and Apple Music. And I always try to have the most up-to-date equipment for them to play on.
Okay.
So there's really a lot. I could go on. I mean, the fact that we're, to my knowledge, one of the only music schools around that offers a string quartet. Well, it's actually a string orchestra now because it's grown from a quartet. It was kind of funny. It went from a quartet to a quintet to a sextet. Now we have 7 of us. So
that's wonderful. So the online curriculum, was that done prior to the COVID pandemic? So therefore you were already prepared for this?
Correct. When I had opened Westgate Music School, I wanted to make sure that all of the students' lessons were as accessible to them as possible. Coming from the school district, I taught in the school district during a time when everything was going to digital curriculum. The students were just getting iPads and Chromebooks distributed to them. This would have been around 2012, 2013. And all of my administrators were really gung-ho about, build digital curriculum. So I did that. And then I just took my curriculum, particularly for guitar, and I just transferred it over to what we do at Westgate Music School. I had always envisioned, being that we live in Chicago, envisioned some sort of weather phenomenon that would keep students from getting to us for a couple of days. I had never envisioned a pandemic that was going to close our doors to the public for 3 months. But the short answer to the question is yes, it was there before, and it, I think, put us one step ahead of a lot of other places when things had to shut down for that 3-month period last year.
Amazing. And so because it's a curriculum, it's a scaling. You move from one point to another point and you advance in your skill set.
To a point, yes. There comes a point in every student's musical development where it becomes less about learning the basic skills of the instrument and it becomes more individualized to the music that student wants to play. Thankfully, part of that digital curriculum is I have a huge library of digital guitar music or bass guitar music, or in some cases violin music, that students typically want to play. For example, every guitar student wants to play Smoke on the Water or Seven Nation Army or Enter Sandman or Stairway to Heaven. So I just have those I have the music files for all of that already uploaded in our cloud storage. So if somebody requests it, you can say, all right, well, here's access to it, you know, and go ahead and download it, which is different from the old days of teaching guitar where a student would bring you a song and you'd have to listen to it, figure it out, write it out by hand, and then give it to them. So it makes us a lot more efficient in that manner.
That's wonderful. And what type of lessons do you offer at Westgate Music School? So
we have pretty much everything at this point. We offer guitar, bass guitar, banjo, ukulele, all of the string instruments, as I mentioned before, violin, viola, cello, double bass. We also offer piano lessons, voice lessons, and drums and percussion lessons as well. Okay. When it comes to voice and you have someone who is singing like a dying hyena, do you still accept that person as a student? Anybody. Well, first of all, I don't teach the vocal. I don't teach the vocal students. So we have 3 wonderful vocal piano teachers. Yeah, we don't have any sort of audition process for our students. If you want to learn how to play, you don't have to audition or qualify to be a student at Westgate Music School. In the case of a voice student, if you can talk, you can sing. So our teachers are wonderful. Our vocal teachers are wonderful at you know, developing students' voices to where they can you know, carry a tune, or sometimes they want more, like they want to. We get a lot of theater kids. There's a bunch of great theater programs here in the area. We get a lot of students from them who are great actors, but they want to get the lead role, and of course that requires them to sing, so they come to us for voice lessons and things like that. Yes. Yeah, I never thought about that, a theater student coming in for the voice lesson to get the lead. Yeah. So how do people go about to book a lesson? You can call us at our number, 708-586-7002. You can also send us an email at info@westgatemusicschool.com. There's also a contact form on our website. There's also a section of our website where you can fill out a form to register yourself or your child or family member in our system, and then once we get that, we usually respond within 24 hours to call you and book a lesson time. That's great. Within 24 hours, so there's like very little wait time. Correct. Right. As soon as somebody fills out our enrollment form on our website, one of us gets it, and then we get back to that person as soon as possible. Sometimes same day, but a lot of times if it's on a day where we're closed or something like that, we'd have to wait until you know, next day when we're open. So I visited your website. It was really interesting because you have YouTube videos, you have your students performing. Some performances are outside in the parking lot, right in front of your school. Yes. And that's where I ran into you. I saw you performing with a student. So I take it you encourage the students to do public performance, and in a couple of videos you actually had people, like a large audience as well. So do you encourage them to do that, and why is that important? So our rock band and string quartet program, it does run on trimesters. We run from January through April, and then May through August, and then September up to the middle of December. When a student signs up for an ensemble, they commit to it for the entire trimester. We work on whatever music that I or the students pick out for that particular group. And at the end of every trimester, we do a concert. Now, we had been doing the concerts at local indoor venues that have, you know, stage, light, sound system, the whole 9 yards. Unfortunately, when COVID-19 happened, a lot of these places had to close their doors, and in some cases permanently. So I had to kind of think about other ways to have the students perform. So that's where the idea of the kids shooting music videos to put on YouTube as a final project came about, or them recording in our in-house studio and then uploading them to Spotify. Or in the case of when you saw us perform outside, we said, well, the weather's nice enough. We can't do anything inside, so let's do something that's COVID friendly, and we'll just block off a section of our parking lot and just have the kids play outside.
Yeah, and then they gain confidence in their skill set while doing that, especially in front of an audience.
Absolutely. There's really no substitute for doing that. Being able to, if you just come in for your private lessons once a week for a half hour and that's it, that's all you do, you really don't get the full experience of performing, being on stage, playing with other people who are of the same skill set as you are. So that's why to me it was so important to have those ensembles so students can get that full musical experience.
Yeah, it enriches their experience as well. I mean, there's, like you say, on your own, in private, with your instructor, but then here you are in front of a crowd, that kind of changes things for, certain individuals, especially the shy ones.
It does. It does.
Yeah, but they overcome it.
They do, yeah. And a lot of times they get addicted to it in a good way. I can think of countless students who their moms or dads would come to me and they're like, oh, such and such never practices. I never hear him playing guitar. Is he getting better? And I always tell them, yeah, just give it time. And then as soon as they get that taste of performing in front of a crowd with other kids their age who might not necessarily go to the same school or from different neighborhoods, walks of life, but then they kind of get that, it is a bond, that they sort of form. And they get that taste of what it's like to play in front of others and they just can't get enough of it. So yeah, it's a really important part of what we do.
Because they're playing in front of an audience who's appreciating their artwork. So I can see how that addiction happens. Like they're appreciating all the hard work they put into to be able to put these notes together, which is not easy.
Correct, and it's even more difficult to get the courage to go and play in front of your friends and family members. I always say that it's easy to perform in front of strangers because you're never going to see them again.
Right.
But it's super difficult to perform in front of your family members and even more so your friends because you see these people every day.
Exactly. And they're brutally honest with you.
They can be, especially kids. They can be.
Right. So any special events on the horizon for Westgate Music School?
We just actually had a concert in our parking lot a few weeks ago. The next event that we have planned is going to be in the middle of December, at the end of our fall/winter trimester. Unfortunately, we don't have a venue picked out yet for where we're going to do this performance because that obviously has to be indoors. So unfortunately, I don't have anything planned yet. We're waiting to kind of wait a few weeks to see what the pandemic does and if any of the venues that we would normally host the event at can in fact host us indoors.
Okay. What time, around what month is that? What?
December.
December. Okay.
Yeah, we shoot for about December 15th through 20th.
Okay.
That week right before Christmas.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So any closing thoughts or information that you want to share with the audience?
Actually, not really. I think we talked about how to book lessons. Just go to westgatemusicschool.com. You could send us an email at info@westgatemusicschool.com. You can also give us a call at 708-586-7002. Dial extension 2 for interested in lessons. You'll get me or my assistant. That's...
Okay. I think
pretty much it.
One thing we didn't hit was if there's a group out there that want to hire a band for some, an event or something, could they reach out to you and have one of your students perform?
They could. It really sort of depends on what rock bands or groups are available at that given time. Remember, a lot of times, since our groups do work in trimesters, a lot of times they will have changeover of members. New members come in, or other current members have to drop out. So a lot of times if someone were to call and say, well, hey, we need a string quartet to perform at such and such, and they catch us right at the beginning of the trimester, that group might not necessarily be ready to perform because they're just starting their music for the first time.
Right.
But if you catch us more toward the end, then it's a different story. Then a lot of the groups would be more than happy to, to go out and play a non-Westgate Music School event, so to speak.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish Westgate Music School the grand success, and thank you for taking the time to come today and share more with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm Veronica Stanica, and you're watching PHTV4 Spotlight Westgate Music School.